Equality and Inclusion Officer. The Equality and Inclusion Officer leads community engagement within liberation groups and advocates for marginalised and underrepresented communities at the university. Key responsibilities include engaging with campus liberation groups, advocating for underrepresented groups, and promoting feelings of inclusion on campus.
Good evening. My name is Jack Rogers and I'm joined in the studio by Abby Harrison, who is running for the position of Equality and Inclusion Officer. To start, I'd like to ask, why are you running specifically for this position?
So I'm running for it because it was a position that really appealed to me, and I'd kind of always thought about it on and off. And then about 2 months ago now, I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a post from someone who I knew sort of very down the line, but she was at graduation in her wheelchair. And I don't know if you know much about the setup for wheelchair users at graduation, but all of her cohort were down some stairs and she was just plonked on the side of the stage on her own for the entire graduation ceremony. And that just my partner is a wheelchair user, and for the last 4 years I've been reassuring her that the university would have a plan for graduation. And to find out that they didn't, I was just like, I have to do something about it.
So I'm really glad you brought that up, because that was one of the manifesto points that I looked at. And looking at that, I wanted to ask, how do you propose then reformatting graduations, either make them more accessible?
There are a lot of ways that you could do it. You could, it's usually in the summer, so you could bring it out of Central Hall and have a big graduation marquee and do it that way. Or if the university did want to keep using Central Hall, because it is a very iconic structure, you can put all the graduates on the stage. Or if you want to have the graduates down in a pit section, just have ramps down to it. Or you can sit students up in the stands, because we did it for when we performed with Radio 1. We made it so that we were sat up the sides of the stage because there's wheelchair access to there. And then you can still walk across the stage to get your certificate and just go to the other side and it would work fine. So there's really no reason for it to be that way.
Thank you very much for that response. Then I wanted to ask something else about a point you made in your manifesto about accessibility and ensuring that lifts and automatic doors are fixed in a timely manner. Following recent reports that you may have seen by news of a lift in Derwent being broken for 11 months due to a breakdown in communication. How would you improve communication as the Equality and Inclusion Officer here?
So I feel like at the minute there's just not a designated person who's pushing for accessibility, and that really should be the Equality and Inclusion Officer. But to me it would be, okay, come and tell me if something is broken, and then I will keep lobbying and keep it constantly in the forefront of my jobs until it is fixed. And I would make sure that the university had agreed to a set time frame. And if it was going to take longer than a week to mend something, they need to email out disabled students with an alternative route plan. Because just saying, oh, well, you can't get to your room until this is fixed isn't acceptable.
Looking at a different side of the role, really, you've proposed setting up new focus groups for different minority groups at university. How would you ensure that these groups translate into action from yourself and action across the university to more represent these groups?
So this is something that's actually kind of evolved through talking to students since I wrote the manifesto, because I want to have focus groups, but I want it to be an open drop-in session. So that group of students will be invited. They can come if they want to. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And I will go and sit in a room bi-weekly, and students can come to me. There'll be a time slot for each group, and they can tell me what their problems are. And even if we can't come up with a solution there and then, we can come up with an action plan as to how we're going to get the problem solved there and then on that day. No more waiting 6 weeks for the SABs to email you back. I want to be with the students where SABs should be.
Thank you very much. And I've got one final short question, if I can. What's the main thing that you want voters to take away about your campaign?
Just that I want to be visible. I want to give the student union back to the students. I don't want to be involved in big publicity stunts. I want to be involved in solving the small problems that impact you every day. Tell me what they are and I'll help you to solve them.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio today. We are going to go over to another interview now with Tolan in Studio Blue, who's going to be interviewing someone else for the position of Equality and Inclusion.